This is the story of Joseph and his brothers in Canaan. It's coming from Genesis 37 and 39. Jacob and his family were living in Canaan. Joseph was 17, and he brought his father a bad report about his brothers when they were watching their flocks. Also, Jacob favored Joseph. He gave him a special robe, and his brothers hated him because his father favored Joseph. In addition, Joseph had two dreams, and he told these dreams to his brothers. In the first dream, Joseph and his brothers were in the field gathering wheat, and then Joseph's bundle of wheat stood upright, and Joseph's brothers, their bundles, gathered around Joseph's and bowed down to it. And Joseph's brothers said, do you plan to reign or rule over us? And they hated him all the more. Now, in the second dream, Joseph saw the sun and the moon and the stars bowing down to him. And when Joseph told his father Jacob the dream, Jacob said, will your mother and I, Jacob rebuked Joseph, saying, will your mother and I and your brothers bow down to you? And Joseph's brothers were more jealous, and Jacob, however, kept the matter in mind. Now, one time, Jacob sent Joseph to Shechem to catch up or to check up on his brothers who were tending their flocks in Shechem. And when Joseph arrived there, he was wandering around in the fields, and a man told Joseph that his brothers had gone on to Dothan. So Joseph went on to Dothan. Now his brothers saw him coming from a distance, so they said, here comes that dreamer, let's kill him. We'll throw him in a cistern, and we'll say that a wild animal killed him, and then we'll see what comes of his dreams. Now Reuben, he wanted to rescue Joseph, so he convinced them not to kill Joseph, but simply to throw him into the cistern. So when Joseph arrived, they seized Joseph, they stripped him of his special robe, they threw him in the cistern, and while they were sitting and eating, some Ishmaelite traders passed by, and Judah said, what good will it be if we kill our brothers? What will we gain from it? Let's sell him to these Ishmaelite traders. So they sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver, and the Ishmaelites took Joseph to Egypt. Meanwhile, Reuben went back to the cistern to find Joseph, but he was gone, and he returned to his brothers and said, the boy is gone, what shall I do? So what they did was they killed a goat. They smeared the blood on Joseph's special robe. Then they took the robe to Jacob to identify, and when Jacob saw it, he said, surely my son Joseph has been torn to pieces. And then Jacob tore his clothing, and he mourned for Joseph, and his brothers or his sons tried to comfort him, but Jacob said, I will go down to the grave mourning for my son Joseph. Now meanwhile, Joseph had been sold to Potiphar, who was in Egypt, an Egyptian, and Potiphar was the captain of the Pharaoh's guard. Now Joseph, the Lord was with Joseph in Egypt, and the Lord gave Joseph success in everything he did. So Potiphar put Joseph in charge of everything in his household, and the Lord blessed Potiphar's household and everything in his field because of Joseph. And so Potiphar, he didn't have to concern himself with anything in his household except for the food that he ate. And this is the story of Joseph and his brothers.